The Baker and the Nun, The Immaculate Confession, Episode 3. It was another sunny morning in New York, and the city was buzzing as usual. But inside the Immaculate Confection, the air was charged with excitement, and maybe a bit of sugar overload. Tony, the dough king, Moretti, and sister Mary Sugarbottom were preparing for their latest bakery event, the Great Cookie Confession. "I'm telling you, Mary," Tony said, with a twinkle in his eye. "This event is going to be huge. We're going to get people lined up out the door. It's like a bake sale, but with the power of confession." Sister Mary, who had been carefully selecting the finest chocolate chips for her signature cookies, raised an eyebrow. "Power of confession? Tony, we're a bakery, not a church revival." "No, no, no. I'm talking about the cookies, sister," Tony said, his hands flour-dusted and his voice rising dramatically. "We bake these cookies, and then people come in, and they can confess their deepest, darkest cravings. They leave with a cookie and a cleansed soul." Sister Mary paused, staring at him like he'd just announced they were turning the bakery into a spa. "Tony, that is the most absurd thing I've ever heard." Tony shrugged with a grin. "Well, if the confessional booth works for sins, why not for cravings?" Before Sister Mary could respond, the bell above the door jingled, and in walked Wanda, the self-confessed cinnamon roll addict. This time, however, she wasn't alone. She had a very nervous-looking man by her side. "Hey, Tony." "Sister Mary." Wanda waved enthusiastically. "You won't believe it. Steve finally agreed to come with me to the Immaculate Confession. He's here for his first cookie." Steve, looking like he'd been dragged straight from a corporate office meeting, glanced at Tony and then Sister Mary. He was wearing a shirt that read, "I heart Excel spreadsheets." He looked like a man who had never had a deep emotional moment in his life, let alone been inside a bakery that promised to heal the soul. Hi," Steve said, awkwardly. "Steve," Tony said, grabbing him by the shoulders and pulling him into the bakery like it was some sort of sacred ceremony. "You've come to the right place, my friend. Here at the Immaculate Confection, we don't just bake. You're about to experience the true meaning of cookie redemption." Sister Mary shot Tony a look, but he was already grabbing a tray of cookies. "Come on, Steve. Pick your cookie wisely. Your future is in your hands." Steve, looking like he was choosing a new car, nervously examined the cookies on display. I'm just here because Wanda insisted I needed a treat." Wanda rolled her eyes. "Come on, Steve. You need a confession cookie. You've been holding back your feelings about my obsession with cinnamon rolls for years. It's time to get real." Steve's face turned red. "Wanda, not this again. I don't care what you eat, I just—" Before he could finish his sentence, Tony shoved a cookie into his hand. "Take the cookie, Steve. Your cravings will speak through it. I promise you, it's therapeutic." Sister Mary, now watching from the counter, couldn't help but smile. There was something amusing about Tony's bizarre methods. She shook her head. "I think we should add a side of emotional counseling with every cookie." Tony grinned. "Now you're talking, sister. Cookie counseling, coming soon." Suddenly, the bakery door swung open again, and in walked a very peculiar-looking woman wearing a giant feathered hat, holding a purse so large it looked like a small suitcase. Her name was Gertrude, and she was well known in the neighborhood for being, well, eccentric. "Darling, I need your most sublime pastry," Gertrude exclaimed, twirling in place dramatically. "My life has been a series of unfulfilled desires, and I think it's time for a rebirth. I'm ready for my sweet resurrection." Tony, excited to meet such a passionate customer, immediately ran to the counter. "Well, Gertrude, you've come to the right place. We're all about rebirth here. In fact, our cookies are basically like little edible confessions that cleanse the soul." Sister Mary, overhearing this, couldn't resist. "I'm just hoping the cookies don't end up cleaning out our entire supply of frosting, Tony." Gertrude gasped. "Frosting? I demand frosting that has the power to change my very essence." She pointed dramatically at a tray of cookies. "What about these? The ones with the dark chocolate?" Tony, still buzzing with excitement, grinned. "Ah, the soul-searching dark chocolate chip cookies. These are for the person who's tired of pretending to be good. These are for the bold, the brave, and the cookie warriors. Gertrude nodded sagely, like she was about to embark on a spiritual journey. Give me 2 dozen. I need to feel reborn, and I also need a few for my book club. Sister Mary gave Tony an incredulous look. You know, Tony, I think your cookie spirituality might just be catching on. Just then, Wanda, still trying to convince Steve of the life-changing potential of cookies, turned to Tony and said, "You know what, Tony, you should really add a cookie confession booth. Like, make people write down their confessions on a little slip of paper, and then after they eat a cookie, they burn it in a little ceremonial fire. It'll be like a cookie exorcism." Steve's eyes widened. You want me to confess things to a cookie? That's a bit much, right? Wanda smiled brightly. Don't knock it till you try it. I'm telling you, it's therapeutic. Tony clapped his hands, his eyes gleaming. You know what? That's actually brilliant, Wanda. We could do it every Friday. Confess, eat, and be saved. Sister Mary, looking at the madness unfolding, sighed and muttered, I guess every bakery needs its own flavor of therapy. But as the day went on, more and more customers arrived, all eager to take part in the cookie confessions, all demanding their own form of redemption. Each person was given a cookie and a confession card. Some confessed their deepest regrets, like not recycling their plastic bags, while others just wrote down, I ate the last donut in the office and didn't tell anyone. At the end of the day, Tony and Sister Mary stood back and surveyed the madness they had created. The cookies were flying off the shelves, the confessions were piling up, and even Wanda and Steve seemed to have patched things up after Steve finally admitted he had a slight addiction to cheese puffs. Well, Mary, Tony said, rubbing his hands together, I think we've officially changed the way people think about cookies and confession. Sister Mary smiled, looking at the happy customers. You know, Tony, I think we might have baked something even more important than cookies today. Tony gave her a suspicious glance.
What?
A miracle? Sister Mary smiled serenely. No, Tony, a marketing opportunity. And so, the Immaculate Confession became even more legendary, with cookies not only satisfying cravings but also curing spiritual dilemmas one bite at a time. Tony's only question now, what was next? Maybe a Fudge Friday confessional for those who couldn't resist a little extra indulgence. Or perhaps a donut redemption hour. The possibilities were endless, and so was the frosting. The Baker and the Nun. The Immaculate Confession, Episode 4. It was a brisk Tuesday morning when Tony and Sister Mary decided to launch their latest ingenious idea, the Holy Donut Day of Redemption. Tony had spent the night in a frenzy, perfecting his new donut recipe, one that he swore would change the way people viewed breakfast forever. Meanwhile, Sister Mary was deep in contemplation, preparing for the day with her usual ritual of praying to the sugar gods for divine inspiration. This donut, Tony said, with a gleam in his eye, will be the one that defines our bakery. You'll see. It'll be like a revelation, but sweeter. Sister Mary was stirring a batch of glaze, her brow furrowed. Tony, the last time you said something was a revelation, we ended up with fudge confessionals and people singing hymns over cookies. Are you sure this is a good idea? Tony grinned, wiping flour off his face. Trust me, sister. These donuts are infused with, well, spirituality. They're blessed. Sister Mary raised an eyebrow. Blessed? Tony, we've already crossed the line with confession cookies. I don't think we need a donut anointment. But Tony wasn't listening. He was already preparing a new sign to hang outside the bakery. Holy Donut Day. Confess your cravings. Indulge your soul. Meanwhile, inside, Wanda and Steve, still very much a thing after their cookie confessions, had arrived for the big day. Wanda, with her usual enthusiasm, practically skipped up to the counter. Hey, Tony. Sister Mary. I brought Steve again. He's ready for his donut redemption, she announced with a grin. Steve, looking like a man who'd just learned he was about to make a huge mistake, shuffled behind her. I don't know, Wanda. I'm really just here for the coffee, Steve said, nervously glancing at the pastry selection. You sure about this holy donut thing? Sister Mary, ever the voice of reason, smiled at him. It's not just about the donuts, Steve. It's about self-reflection. You'll see. Right, Steve said, eyes wide as Tony placed a donut on the counter. Self-reflection over fried dough.
Great.
Tony leaned over the counter, smiling like a mad scientist. Steve, you're about to experience spiritual enlightenment. This donut has mystical properties. Wanda's eyes gleamed. He's been talking about the mystical donut for weeks, Steve. I think it's time you accept the calling. Steve took a deep breath, looking at the donut. It was an enormous creation, with layers of frosting, sprinkles, and a cherry on top. He couldn't help but chuckle. If this donut changes my life, I'll write a thank you note to the bakery, I guess. Before he could bite into the donut, Gertrude entered with her usual flair, twirling her feathered hat around like it was part of an elaborate dance routine. Darlings, I have arrived, Gertrude exclaimed, making an entrance as if she were auditioning for a Broadway show. What is this I hear about holy donuts? Is this the day I truly embrace my sweet indulgence? Tony, practically bouncing with excitement, welcomed her with open arms. Gertrude, you've come at the perfect moment. These donuts are life-changing. They might even help you unlock the deepest layers of your soul, if you're brave enough. Gertrude gasped. Unlock my soul, you say? Well, I'll have one of those donuts if it comes with a side of emotional clarity. Sister Mary turned to Tony, muttering under her breath. We're really doing this, aren't we? Tony grinned. Of course we are. This is New York. Who doesn't want to experience a spiritual awakening over a donut? Gertrude took her donut like it was a sacred relic, holding it in both hands and staring at it with the reverence of someone gazing upon a holy artifact. I can feel it. My soul is beginning to cleanse. Sister Mary rolled her eyes but couldn't help but smile. Well, at least they're happy. As Gertrude took her first bite, she closed her eyes and sighed in pure bliss. This donut. I feel like I'm having an out-of-body experience, she said dramatically, her voice echoing like a divine choir. It's like I can hear the heavens. Wanda and Steve looked at each other in disbelief as Gertrude began humming, her arms reaching toward the sky as if she were trying to touch the heavens. She continued to eat her donut in slow motion, savoring every bite like it was her last. Meanwhile, Steve, hesitant but curious, finally bit into his donut. To his surprise, he felt something. Not spiritual enlightenment, exactly, but a certain connection to something larger than himself. Maybe it was the sugar rush, or maybe it was the fact that he had never in his life eaten such a decadent donut. Either way, something shifted in him. Okay. I'm starting to feel it, Steve said, wiping frosting from his chin. I think I'm at peace. With donuts. And maybe with my relationship with Wanda, too. Wanda, now watching Steve with wide eyes, smiled.
See?
I told you, Steve. Holy donuts are life-changing. Just then, another customer came in, looking confused.
Hi.
Is this the place with the holy donuts? Tony nodded enthusiastically. You bet it is, my friend. You're about to experience the divine in donut form. The customer, a man in a suit who looked like he'd never had a spiritual moment in his life, stared at the donuts on display. I just wanted a regular donut. I've had a rough week, and honestly, I'm just here for the sugar. Sister Mary chuckled. Sometimes that's all you need. A little sugar, a little redemption. As the day went on, the Holy Donut Day of Redemption became a runaway hit. Customers from all over the neighborhood poured into the Immaculate Confection, each one hoping to experience their own transformation. Some left with profound insights into their life choices, while others simply left with a sugar high and a large box of donuts. By the end of the day, Tony and Sister Mary were exhausted but exhilarated. The bakery was a mess, donut crumbs everywhere, frosting splattered on the walls, but the customers had never been happier. Well, sister, Tony said, leaning on the counter with a satisfied grin, I think we've truly created a movement. Sister Mary looked around at the chaos. I think we've created something, she said, shaking her head with a smile. And I'm not sure if it's a movement, but at least it's a delicious one. Tony raised his hands to the sky, as if receiving divine affirmation. Holy donuts for all. Sister Mary sighed. Well, at least we're not burning people with the fryer this time. Progress, Tony. Progress. And so, another day at the Immaculate Confession came to a close, with customers leaving in a sugar-induced haze, and perhaps a little bit closer to enlightenment. Tony's next idea? A pie of prophecy. But that was a story for another day.
Polyspeaks for You incorporates voice control features that allow users to perform essential actions like opening, saving, and creating new documents, as well as interacting with font and document editing dialogues. This is particularly helpful for individuals with disabilities, enabling hands-free operation and more accessible content management. Below are some of the voice control functionalities designed for ease of use. 1. Voice-commanded document handling. A open document. Users can say commands like open document, followed by the file name or location, and Poly will open the document for them. Save document. Commands like save document as or save allow the user to save their work without needing to manually click on buttons. Poly can also handle saving with specific file names or locations as dictated. A new document. A simple voice command such as create new document or start new file will initiate a fresh document in the app. A closed document. Commands like close document or exit can be used to close the current document. 2. Font dialog voice controls. Font style. Users can control font settings by saying change font to Arial or set font at Times New Roman. This would change the selected text's font style. A font size. Commands like increase font size or decrease font size adjust the text size according to user preferences. A font color. Users can use commands such as set font color to red or change font to blue to personalize the text color. 3. Voice-commanded document editing. A text formatting. Commands like bold text, italicized text, underline text, or strikeout text allow users to edit their document easily. For example, saying bold this text will apply bold formatting to the selected text. Alignment. Users can command alignment changes by saying align left, align center, or align right. A text insertion. A user can say insert text, and the software will insert the given text at the current cursor position. A text navigation. Commands such as go to the top, scroll down, or move to the next paragraph enable users to navigate the document without the need for a mouse or keyboard. 4. Voice-activated help and assistance. Help commands. Users can ask questions like, what can I do? Or help me with saving to receive guidance on specific tasks. Poly can offer step-by-step instructions based on voice queries. A undo/redo. Voice commands such as undo or redo let users correct mistakes or revert to previous actions in their document. 5. Advanced features for accessibility. Speech recognition training. For improved accuracy, Poly can guide users through the Windows speech recognition training process, adapting to their voice patterns and improving dictation accuracy. A text-to-speech for editing. Users can have text read aloud to them while editing, making it easier to spot errors and refine their documents. These voice-controlled features make Poly Speaks for You an accessible tool for individuals with disabilities, particularly those with visual impairments, mobility issues, or other conditions that limit their ability to use traditional input devices. The hands-free operation helps users maintain independence and improve their document management and editing experience. If you've enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit the like, share, and subscribe buttons to stay updated with more content. The creator of Poly Speaks for You has always been driven by a passion for giving a voice to those who need it most. Whether it's through text-to-speech technology or voice recognition, the goal has always been to create tools that help individuals, especially those with disabilities or learning challenges, communicate and interact with the world in a way that is meaningful and empowering. The stories shared, such as those about the sailors aboard the HMS Victory, are not just about reliving history, they are about the power of voice. Through Poly Speaks for You, the creator saw an opportunity to use storytelling as a medium to convey courage, strength, and resilience, much like the sailors of the past. These stories are intended to inspire and engage users, reminding them of the importance of their voices, both literally and metaphorically. The idea behind these stories is to showcase how technology, particularly speech technology, can be a tool for preserving history, while also empowering users with the capability to share their own narratives. By blending history with technology, the creator of Polly Speaks for You aims to demonstrate how powerful a voice can be in shaping and sharing our world, past and present. In a sense, these stories represent more than just entertainment. They are a way for the creator to give a voice to history, to connect with users in a deeply human way, and to remind them that their voices matter, whether they are telling their own stories or those of others. The creator's work in developing Polly Speaks for You is never just about making a functional tool. It was about making sure that every voice had the power to be heard. If you've enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit the like, share, and subscribe buttons to stay updated with more content. This content has been adapted from the powerful features of Polly Speaks for You, South Africa's leading accessibility software. Learn more at www.polyspeaksforyou.co.za. We invite you to support this meaningful dyslexic initiative, crafted and developed by an individual who personally understands the challenges of dyslexia.